The weight of the unseen. What truly makes the blood run cold? Is it the sudden violent jump scare that momentarily shatters the senses? Is it the raw, visceral shock of gore, a stark reminder of fragility and finality? Or is it something far more insidious, a creeping existential dread that defies easy categorization? Perhaps the deepest, most primordial terror lies not in what we see, but in the nagging suspicion that we are being watched by something we cannot see. It is the chilling, illogical certainty that the world we inhabit is merely a thin, fragile veil over an abyss, and that certain places, certain moments, allow that veil to be slowly, deliberately peeled back. It is the suffocating weight of the unknown, the alien, the strange, the fundamentally wrong. If that unease is starting to tug at the frayed edges of your composure, then this is a story that demands to be told. The edge of the map. Picture it. A town that exists in the universal limbo of anywhere. A place perpetually bypassed by the interstate, where streetlights are sparse and the surrounding wilderness presses in with a silent, humid determination. It is here, just beyond the last whisper of normalcy and the final flicker of civilization, that our focus narrows to two figures, Mark and Mike. Two friends in their mid-20s, bound by the casual, unshakable familiarity of long history and a shared, restless desire for something different. Their vehicle, a battered SUV sticky with road dust, sat abandoned near a faint, overgrown trail. They were on a camping trip, though pilgrimage might have been a more accurate if unacknowledged term. This wasn't a standard weekend getaway. They were following the faded, cryptic directions passed down from a rumor, chasing a feeling whispered about a spot unmarked on any official map. A place, they had been assured, where the stars felt closer and the silence felt deeper. Now the sun had bled out over the horizon, draining the landscape of color and leaving behind only shades of deepening indigo and black. Mark, meticulous and anxious, had arranged their gear in a tight, protective semicircle. Mike, loose-limbed and cavalier, had the task of managing the campfire. It crackled now, a defiant, flickering heart of orange light against the overwhelming gloom. They had settled in, the mundane sound of sizzling bacon and the soft pops of burning pine, their only company. But even as the warmth kissed their faces and the fire offered its illusion of safety, the woods surrounding their little exposed sanctuary did not simply feel silent. They felt full of patiently waiting thing, full of a silence that was less an absence of sound and more a heavy, deliberate holding of breath.
Dude, throw that in too. Jesus, it's freezing.
There we go, princess.
So, what the hell are we really doing out here? Camping, sure, but what's with the secret stuff?
Relax, bro. Just some rustic adventure. Or are you scared of the dark?
Nah, just wondering why all the cloak and dagger stuff.
It's all part of the experience.
If I want wild, I'll watch a documentary, not shiver my ass off in the woods.
Chill, dude. This is better than Netflix. Trust me.
All right, then.
What's there to be confused about, dude?
Didn't the place get torn down like years ago?
Nah, man. That's what I thought, too. My sister and her friends a ways back explored it. They even brought a camcorder.
You mean they have a VHS of the place?
Yeah, but I couldn't find it. I think my sister may have taken it with here to college.
Shitty shit.
Alright, so check this out.
I'm listening.
Mark began poking at the fire with a stick, sending a shower of sparks into the cool night air. Across from him, Mike nursed a can of blue light, his eyes fixed on the fire, but his attention clearly on Mark's story.
So we're really hopping into this creepy-ass castle tomorrow, huh?
So, man, everyone around here knows about Webster Castle, right? Or at least they pretend not to. But the story goes way back, even before our parents were kids. So from what I gathered, it's all about this dude, James Whitney.
Mark paused for dramatic effect, letting the crackle of the fire fill the silence.
I'm listening.
So, this guy, he was apparently huge in the carnival scene back in the day. like early 1900s or something. Not just any carnival, though. His main attractions were these messed up, elaborate House of Mirrors and fun houses. But they weren't like fun in the normal sense.
Mike grunted, taking a sip of his beer.
What, like the Hall of Mirrors at the Great Escape?
Nah, dude, way worse.
Mark corrected, leaning forward, his voice dropping a notch.
Imagine going into one of these things, and it's not just a few mirrors and a wobbly floor. It's way beyond what you could imagine. So, like, people would go in, especially kids, and they'd get lost. For hours. Not just physically lost, but mentally they'd lose it.
Whitney is straight up nuts, right?
The way this Whitney guy designed them, it was like reality itself started to break down. Mirrors didn't just reflect you, but warped you, stretched you, multiplied you. False exits, twisting corridors that would loop back on themselves.
And what if we see one of those messed up illusions? Are we even ready?
Kids would run out screaming, crying their eyes out, totally traumatized. They could never explain what they saw, just that it was terrifying. Whitney, the sick bastard, called it art. Everyone else thought he was a menace.
The wind picked up slightly, rustling through the leaves, and for a moment, Mike paused, halfway putting his beer to his lips.
The carnival thing eventually died down, right? People probably got tired of their kids coming out messed up.
Keep going.
Whitney, he vanished. Poof. Gone. For years, no one heard from him. Then, out of nowhere, this massive mansion started getting built, deep in the absolute middle of nowhere, that place, the Webster Castle. The very place we're going tomorrow, my friend.
Mark shivered despite the warmth of the fire.
The way his attractions twisted people's minds? That's some next level fucked up.
And get this, the whole damn place, the interior, was built to mimic his old carnival attractions.
Mike's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of genuine unease crossing his face.
Wait, what? You're serious? A house of mirrors inside the mansion?
Dead serious. Imagine this. He didn't just build a couple of weird rooms. Oh no. The whole damn place is filled with it. Staircases that lead to dead ends. Hallways that twist and turn on themselves like a snake.
Mark lowered his voice conspiratorially.
Yeah, I want to get out of that place in one piece.
Supposedly, every surface is glass or some polished steel, distorting everything. It's supposed to be a continuous, never-ending maze of reflections and false perspectives.
He threw a final twig into the fire, watching it ignite.
Jesus, man.
It's like he took all the messed up parts of his fun houses and just built a giant permanent version of it just for himself.
He met Mike's gaze across the flickering flames, a mixture of fear and adrenaline in his eyes.
This is where the real creepy part comes in. The castle's been abandoned for decades. It's falling apart, overgrown, but it still stands.
Unbelievable.
Even older kids like us, well, they've always dared each other to go explore it, to prove how brave they were. But the thing is, some of them never come back.
Never come back? Like, really never come back? How have I not heard of this?
Yeah, man. Disappear. Parents call the cops, search parties go out, but nothing. It's like the castle just swallows them. One minute they're daring each other to go in, the next they're just gone. Not a trace.
Shit, man.
Think for a moment, man. When you go to Kmart, by the customer service desk, I'm sure you've seen on the wall the dozens of missing children the post each year.
This is heavy.
And the wildest theory, well, some people say Whitney never actually died. They say he's still in there, sequestered away in some hidden part of the mansion, deep in the maze.
Unbelievable.
Like a spider in the center of its web, still playing his games. And the kids who go in, they're just new players in his ultimate funhouse. Forever lost.
Wow, man.
That's the story, man. Webster Castle, a mansion built by a madman designed to be a permanent, inescapable labyrinth of terror. And tomorrow evening, We're going to be walking right into it.
This is more than I signed up for, dude.
Well, we will see what's... What?
Did you tell anyone we were doing this?
I made mention to my sister about it.
Well, that will have to do if something goes wrong.
Lighten up, man. It's a story. I'm not sure what all is true.
Seriously, I get it.
Well, let's get some rest. We have a big day ahead of us.
True that, man. I'll see you in the morning.
Sorry for any nightmares.
You're a good man.
Mike set the beer down with a decisive clink. His cavalier attitude, the one that always said nothing phases me, was struggling against the primal dread that Mark's story had conjured. He picked up a piece of bacon from his plate, then put it back down, suddenly finding his appetite gone. The fire was dying now, its orange glow receding into a bed of deep red coals, surrendering the territory to the overwhelming, oppressive darkness. The heat was mostly gone, and the cold air began to bite. The two of them retired to their relative tents, settling in for the night. It was in that moment, while Mike was snugged into his sleeping bag, that he felt it. Not heard it or saw it, but felt it. A distinct cold ripple of awareness, like a sudden drop in air pressure right behind his head. Mark's story had truly unsettled him at home. The flap of his tent was unzipped, just enough for a sliver of the night to peek in. A window into the world he had foolishly presumed was without mystery. He finally closed his eyes, pulling his sleeping bag over his head, but the image was already burned into his mind. Tomorrow they would be making their way to Webster Castle. Mark and Mike had packed up their supplies and had begun to make headway on their trip to Webster Castle. The trek would take most of the day, and their estimated arrival was 8 p.m. After a few overgrown trails and some rather confusing switchbacks, Mike was the first to articulate.
Dude, are we lost?
Nah, man. Let's keep moving.
Mark gripped his compass tighter, the small needle wavering in his hand. His anxiety, usually a low hum, now spiked into sharp, desperate focus.
The compass says we're still moving east. Dead east. If we're looping, the needle should be swinging wildly. It's not. It's rock solid.
Mike stared at the device, then back at the twin of the leaning log they'd just passed.
We trust the needle.
Mark decided, his voice raspy but firm.
Then we keep moving east.
Mark pulled a small roll of bright orange surveyor tape from his pack.
We mark it every 20 feet. If we see an orange marker that we didn't place, we know the loop is a full circle and we turn back. If we only see the tape behind us, we push through.
It was a meticulous, desperate plan, a thin thread of logic against a creeping tide of madness. As they began to move again, Mark tying the first strip of plastic ribbon to a sapling, the walk took on a suffocating new quality. Every step became a conscious act of defiance against the woods. They were no longer walking. They were checking and rechecking, forcing their brains to reconcile the compass's assurance of straight-line movement with the visual evidence of identical flora. The air grew progressively colder. They turned a corner, one that had no visual twin in the landscape, and the trees suddenly pulled back. The straight, unnaturally close trunks gave way to a sudden, open clearing. The sun had long set, but it was still visible, and there it was, the imposing silhouette. It didn't look like a castle, at least not the storybook kind. It was a sprawling, hideous edifice of grey stone and black, tarnished metal. Mark had called it a mansion, but it looked more like a fortress that had been subjected to decades of slow, purposeful decay. Webster Castle was an architectural monstrosity, a chaotic jumble of Victorian Gothic and industrial coldness. Spires of mismatched height jutted upward like broken teeth. Sections of the exterior were covered in sheets of corrugated, rusted steel, bolted haphazardly onto the stone. The roofline was an asymmetrical nightmare, and every window, of which there were dozens varying wildly in size and shape, was either boarded up or shattered. The structure was impossibly large, disproportionate, and somehow fundamentally wrong. It had none of the sounds of an abandoned building. No creaking wood, no rattling loose panels, no nesting birds. It sat on the slight rise of the hill, an absolute statement of permanent wrongness, the ultimate monument to James Whitney's warped artistry.
I think I see it. That's it.
Wait. Where?
Just beyond the tree line. See it?
Wait. Okay, I see it. Holy shit, man.
It's huge. Holy crap.
You ready for this?
Well, we've come this far.
Damn right. Stay close.
That shouldn't be a problem.
I've never seen architecture quite like this.
I know, right? This Whitney guy was nuts.
Okay, let's leave our packs by the front. Take only what's needed.
Copy that.
The two of them slowly made entrance through the thick ironwood double doors of the main entrance. There they were met with the dark, rich wood of a vast, ornate manor foyer. They got the sense that the chamber held much more than mirror and glass, rather something along the lines of a long-forgotten secret. A secret that shouldn't be told. As the two of them shined their flashlights trying to take in the foyer's interior, the most striking feature amongst the elegant decay was in fact the grand, sweeping staircase that ascended in dramatic fashion to the left of the entryway and continued across a landing. It was cloaked in heavy, dark wooden panellings, with a fine detail that was unmatched. The balustrade was intricately carved with robust, almost medieval-looking detail, echoing the architectural style of the deep, recessed doorways below. A strip of burgundy crimson runners, which had seen better days, still clung to the imposing staircase, contrasting subtly with the still polished but dusty wood steps which led their eyes upward and into the shadows of the estate. Below the landing stood massive double doors, also with dark wood, suggested to them that an entrance to an even more imposing wing of the house lay beyond. In the foreground, the once polished hardwood floors still managed to reflect the scarce light. Sprung about on the walls were glimpses of tattered oil paintings, relics of their former glory. Were visible on the upper walls the subjects in the ornate framed paintings long lost from times endless. Trump. A tall, dark ceramic urn with a metallic, possibly gilded pattern stood sentinel at the base of the stairs. It was a curious find for the two of them. Puzzling not because of it, but rather because it hadn't been disturbed. They shrugged it off, then continuing on, peering to the right, where a heavy carved wooden table supported a dark statue. The statue depicted what appeared to be a child sitting in a simple chair, with his hands covering its mouth. Again, as with the urn, it was incongruous, but not in such a way to alter their progress. The entire space was bathed in a perpetual twilight, and the shadows were as much a part of the architecture as the wood itself. It was a setting that spoke of old money, secrets, and perhaps a touch of something they couldn't put a finger on. It was in fact the perfect backdrop for a mystery. Their mystery to unfold. The two of them approached what appeared to be a series of velvet ropes that looked to guide the way to a rather decrepit red door.
Dude, this place is pretty intact inside considering it's abandoned.
I know, right?
Something isn't quite right.
What's that over there?
What? The velvet ropes?
Yeah, let's start there.
As good as any.
The door opened, and the two made their way into what appeared to be a viewing room of days long past. To the back center, an old film projector stood. Dust coated its body and reels. And midway to the room's center, a worn leather sofa stood prominently in front of a tattered and yellowed projection screen.
What's this?
It looks like an old viewing room of types. See the projector?
And then it happened. A faint click, followed by the unmistakable sound of the projector's belt spun to life.
Did you touch anything?
No, man, it just turned on.
This isn't right.
Well, we're here. Let's see what it is.
All right. Might as well take a seat.
The couch is actually comfy. A little creepy.
It was in this moment Mark and Mike's cavalry posture took a new direction, and a grave, more serious approach took hold.
How the hell did this projector turn on? Look, it's not even plugged in.
Beyond that, man, this place doesn't have power.
We wanted an adventure. Let's see what it has to say.
All right, but at the first sign of danger, I'm out.
I hear that.
Hey, I think it's playing something now.
Okay, here we go.
Hang tight.
Good evening. You stand on the precipice of an experience unlike any other. An experience brought to you by the singular vision of a man whose genius some say bordered on the unnatural. I speak, of course, of James Whitney, a name whispered in hushed tones across the grandest expositions and the most shadowed alleyways of entertainment. Whitney, the architect of perception, the master of the misdirection, he who dared to sculpt not merely images, but realities themselves. Born in a quiet town, James was a peculiar child, fascinated not by the simplicity of the world, but by its endless capacity for variation. He saw a tree not as a singular entity, but as 1,000 potential trees, each glimpsed through a different pane of glass, a different angle of light, a different distortion. This obsession blossomed into an art form. Whitney found his canvas in the mirror. Not the mirror that reflects your humble visage, dear viewer, but the mirror that reveals, or perhaps invents. He crafted intricate labyrinths, not of brick and mortar, but of reflected light and twisted perspective. Each angle, a carefully calculated deception. Each glimmer, a whisper of doubt. He claimed his aim was simply amusement. A bit of a laugh, he'd say, with a glint in his eye that suggested something far deeper. But those who ventured into his early mirror mazes often emerged changed, with stories of seeing not just themselves, but aspects they never knew existed, or perhaps aspects that shouldn't exist. And now you, the intrepid thrill seeker, are about to step into his grandest creation yet, the Funhouse of Mirrors, a testament to Whitney's twisted genius, a place where the familiar becomes foreign, where the straight line bends, and where your own reflection may just hold a secret you're not prepared to discover. Remember, friends, what you see within these gleaming surfaces is not always reality. Sometimes it is merely what James Whitney wants you to see. And sometimes it is what you truly are, stripped bare of all pretense, magnified and laid frightfully plain. For centuries, man has sought to understand the very fabric of his existence, to peer beyond the veil of the ordinary and confront the reflections of his innermost self. James Whitney. The name itself conjures an air of mystery, doesn't it? Born in the fading gaslight of the late 19th century, Whitney was a man consumed by the interplay of sight and deception. From a young age, he was fascinated by the distortions of polished surfaces, the way a simple curve could warp reality, revealing not what was, but what could be. His early life was dedicated to the craft of optics, to bending and shaping glass until it surrendered to his will. But Whitney was not content with mere magnification or illumination. He saw in the mirror a deeper purpose, a tool to disorient, to challenge, to awaken the subconscious fears that lie dormant within us all. It was in the solitude of his workshop, amidst the glinting shards and forgotten designs, that Whitney began to experiment. He sought not to create a simple amusement, but an experience that would strip away the comforting veneer of the familiar. Some say Whitney's obsession consumed him. They whisper of long, sleepless nights spent perfecting his craft, of mirrors imbued with a strange, almost sentient quality, leaving you face to face with the unsettling truths that lurk beneath your own reflection. They say he poured not just his intellect, but a piece of his very soul into each pane of glass, each angle, each disorienting curve. They say the Funhouse is not merely a collection of mirrors, but a living, breathing entity, a testament to Whitney's unyielding vision. Now, as you prepare to step beyond this threshold, remember James Whitney. Remember the mind that conceived this realm of illusion. For within these walls, your perception will be tested, your senses challenged. You will see yourself as you've never seen before, and perhaps ever will. Enter, if you dare. Loose yourself in the strange. What's real and what's a reflection? Those who enter are those who remain.
The reel of the projector's film wildly flickering made the two of them jump. The film was now spinning wildly, then foot by foot gathered in a pile on the floor, and before they could utter a word in protest, the projector abruptly shut off, as if it had never been on in the first place. They, puzzled by the situation they had found themselves in, slowly stood up, and with a reluctant nut straining reassuring nod ventured forth, deeper into the embrace of the castle. The two then proceeded slowly down a dark corridors, lined with peeling wallpaper of some unrecognizable pattern. It was Mark who first noticed it, after a few misplaced steps, that the floors evidently had become uneven. But after a quick pause, they concluded that it wasn't the floors that were uneven, but in fact the walls, ultimately resulting in their equilibrium being tricked as it did. They then came upon a staircase, ordinary to the eye at first glance, but as they attempted to climb, the flight progress was for naught. The at first simple and common trick there slowly became something riddled with anxiety. Now midway through and lacking any real progression in their attempts, the two began to walk back down, only to be faced with the stairs mechanically clicking in reverse. Even their ill-gotten attempts at crawling were with no merit. It was Mike who exhaustedly suggested that they use the wooden railings, placing each foot on the two adjacent rails to potentially shimmy up to the landing. After what felt like an eternity, the two of them, rattled and now certain they had gotten in over their heads, collapsed on the landing, gaining whatever respite they could before moving on. When the two did get back on their feet, it now was with a hyper-vigilance. Approaching the first door they come across, Mike slowly turned the knob. But before he could place his foot inside, Mark violently yanked him by the back of his collar, pulling him back. Confused and concerned, Mike quickly turned to Mark, and as he did, Mark, still fixed on whatever lay beyond the door, slowly pointed in its direction. Mike then turned and carefully peered into the room he seconds ago almost had entered, only to see a vast hole that consumed the entirety of the space.
Dude, this shit isn't good, man.
Yeah, I know. We're in over our heads.
I mean that hole. If you hadn't have stopped me, well, that would have been it.
Even with the gleam of their flashlights, no bottom could be seen. Slowly, they backed away after closing the door. They pressed on. Now not for adventure, but for survival and escape.
Nah, man, screw exploring. I want to live to see another day.
The two friends, after weighing the pros and cons, decided the best course of action would simply be to backtrack. It appeared to be the safest bet, considering the known previous situation and the unknown way forward. But when they ventured back to the stairs, they were faced with an impossibility. Instead of the perplexing staircase they had just traversed, there was now a dark wooden wall.
Ah, Mark, check this shit out.
What now? Did you find another way to screw us over?
The stairs are gone. We're fucked.
Fucking Whitney!
Looks like the choice was made for us. So fuck it.
The Webster Castle, for all it hushed legend. Was it the sense of oppression or the immediate cursory feeling of wrongness that took hold first? It was in fact merely an oddity of brick and mortar, yet it housed something profoundly intangible, a chilling essence that defied measurement and became impossible to forget. It was a place built from the mind of a man who was a square peg in a round hole, a misfit who belonged to no niche in society. His secluded Baca-Burke province allowed him to devolve deeper into his own tawdry self. Here the house became his reflection. Floors framed slightly off-angle, ceilings not quite right, and walls deliberately a few inches astray. This subtle distortion was only the preliminary set for the main show, a funhouse of glass and mirrors that played dizzying tricks on the equilibrium. Mark and Chris's entry into the mansion was not a slow descent, but a plunge into tactile dread. The initial reluctant excitement had evaporated, replaced by a deafening silence broken only by the rasp of rusted metal and the sickly sweet, mildewed air of disuse. Each floorboard beneath their feet was unnervingly uneven, a deceptive trick of engineering designed to breed paranoia. Unknown to Mark and Mike, the floorboards were set upon a series of pneumatic actuators hidden beneath the decaying structure. They didn't shake randomly. They fired in an erratic, stomach-lurching rhythm that subtly shifted their center of gravity, making it impossible to step securely. The contraption was engineered by its builder, Whitney, to simulate an internal, inescapable tremor. Seeking another avenue of escape, the two were met with a passage that seemed to narrow the farther they ventured. The walls were padded with a black, sound-dampening velvet, worn but still surprisingly intact. In the tightest section, Mark and Mike realized the walls were not just narrow, they were actively moving inward. The psychological terror was immediate and profound. The mind struggled to reconcile the stable structure of a house with the crushing claustrophobia of a tomb. They barely made it out of the hall, only to be confronted with what appeared to be a vast, high-ceilinged ballroom. Center stage, bathed in a strange, incandescent glow, was a rectangular facade designed to be blindingly eye-catching. "Whitney's House of Mirrors," proclaimed the sign, its letters outlined by strings of small, exposed bulbs, giving the structure a jarringly vibrant, classic fairground look against the surrounding decay. The attraction was characterized by a mix of dark, ornate paneling in black and deep brown, contrasting sharply with the dazzling light. For Mark and Chris, this ill-fated adventure had only terrifyingly begun, and it was becoming increasingly clear that the only way out was completely out of their control.